That's it. I'm jumping off the Betsy. You know what the worst part of this season has been? It wasn't making excuse after excuse for why this team looked like the bottom of a litter box more times than they didn't. It wasn't selling myself on the, oh, well, this team just knows how to win garbage that even the media was slurping up at one point when we were at least eking out one-score wins against the league of mid. It wasn't even watching this team collapse 2 weeks in a row to the guy who lost us the Super Bowl in the first place, and then a Giants team that's so bad that they had to start an extra from Goodfellas for like 6 games. It wasn't even having to hear 40 Stabber fans gloat about how they broke us for like 2 months and Cowboy fans co-signing because Deep Throat in San Francisco is the closest that Dallas will get to a chip until the next time Jerry World hosts one. It wasn't even watching these two stooges completely and utterly mismanage a top 5-0 by reducing the playbook to a screenshot of a Madden game. And it wasn't watching these two turn the middle of the field into a landing strip for every opposing offense. It wasn't even the fact that now I got to spend the rest of the spring and summer listening to people who don't actually know ball beyond score, touchdown, make scoreboard go boom, do the whole Jalen is a running back thing again. But it's the fact that Brian, Sean, Matt, Nick, and by extension, Howie and Jeff wasted not only the second and what is likely a 3 or at best 4-year window to actually make a run, but what is in all likelihood the last one in which we'll see Fletch, BG, or Kelsey put on the midnight green and Eagle Wings helmet. And that alone should be a fireable offense. Imagine being the longest tenured player in franchise history who closed out the only Super Bowl win in that city's history, or arguably the second greatest D tackle of your generation and one of the greatest in team history, or the literal most famous center in the history of football with damn near a blank check just sitting there waiting at your locker for if/whenever you decide to go to the broadcast booth for hell, just continue shooting the shit with your brother, and you waste your final season being dicked around by better than nothing personified, your QB's Pee Wee League cheerleader, and Karma's favorite munch over here. That's basically the Eagles' 23 season in a nutshell. The biggest worst of my personal time and energy since my journalism major. This is the single worst collapse that Philly has seen since Meek Mill after back-to-back. And yeah, I know there's a playoff game to be played, but come on, y'all. Who at this point even cares besides bettors? I mean, I honestly wish that I could say that I don't, but go Birds till I die, man. And I hate myself for it. Because let's say that this team does beat Tampa, which ain't anywhere near a given at this point. And I'd probably take the spread, to be honest, if I were a neutral party. Do you really expect anything less than a massacre if/when they meet San Francisco or some other comparable team again? Yeah, exactly. I did a whole other video that I'm not even going to bother uploading now, but my argument was basically when you reach a point where the fans actually start to make more sense than you, it might be time to consider whether you need to do some soul searching. And when you do find it, bitch slap the dog piss out of it. But later for that noise, I'm officially on the fire Nick Sirianni bandwagon, if for no other reason than because he and he alone is responsible for this bullshit. My wife asked me what time the game started, and I told her I might not even watch it because surely Nick is not doofed enough to play his starters at MetLife where ACLs go to die when he knows he crapped away the division last week in all likelihood anyway. Yeah, like I said, fire this dumbass. To be honest, it was when AJ went down with what looked like the latest case of turf-induced terrorism that I was out on Nick. But this BS right here made me want to jump through the TV and choke him like a chicken. Once I saw the score was 17-0, I just turned it off and watched some wrestling reruns. But apparently Sydney went down with an ACL as well. And I mean, ACL tears aren't what they were 10 years ago because apparently Aaron Anti-Vax was going to try to finish the season on one good leg and a slow-cooked pork rib of another. But that's what, like 9 months of recovery at best? That's a whole offseason worth of OTAs and camp practices that Sid is going to miss now. Crucial development for a second-year player. All because of bullshit. And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't player and game management supposed to be Nick's best skill sets? Because it damn sure ain't play design or play calling or apparently even talent eval. I think we all knew that this team's problems went beyond sending Desai to the Wolves to be eaten to death by Twitter and the media, but he probably shouldn't have been the guy from jump. I mean, later for the whole Fangio thing, the consensus among fans and media alike was that once Shane and Gannon were gone, that Brian and Denard would get those jobs, or at least keeping one of those two. Well, evidently Nick picked the wrong nigga because the Ravens are now a top D thanks in large part to Denard doing and be more what he did with Philly secondary last year. And what did Nick do to compensate? Make up a title for the least accomplished of Belichick's acolytes to basically spell as assistant D coordinator until you needed a scapegoat for this team's inevitable implosion. My point being, what the actual fuck does Nick actually do besides be a meme template? Listen, I'm going to keep it a buck. Even if he probably deserves it, Nick isn't going anywhere after one bad half of a season if he can get this team to at least win one playoff game. That's just what it is. In my opinion, that's not good enough, but again, my opinion doesn't really matter. As big of a catastrophe as these last 6 games have been, let's not forget Philly still managed to win 10 of their first 11 and did secure a playoff berth for what that's going to wind up being worth. Remember that year Chip Kelly started out 9-3 before dropping inexplicably and missing the playoffs altogether? Chip still got one more season to fall flat on his chinless face afterward. So that's the bar we're looking at, folks. That said, Lurie has somehow managed to be one of both the best and most hands-on owners in the league since he took over. Like, the one egregious error he's made since, like, 96 or whenever he bought the team was moved from Kelly Green to Midnight as the default uni. Something he probably should have been tarred and feathered for, honestly. That said, Lurie knows how hard it is to make a Super Bowl, let alone to win one, and how short those windows actually are. He knew the minute he offered Jalen the lion's share of the cap that the clock had begun ticking. So I don't see him wasting a year on Nick if he doesn't believe in him anymore, even as the rest of us already want to kick him to the curb. Look, like I said, at this point, I'd rather the Eagles just pack it up because even if they do beat Tampa, it's only a matter of time before they get dog walked by San Francisco or Detroit or, God forbid, Dallas. I'm not trying to live through that or Niners fans pleasuring themselves to Shanahan's playbook again. The best thing for Philly's long-term future, in my opinion, might just be getting blown out by Baker Mayfield in the wild card. And I'm not even joking because I think I speak for the majority of the fan base when I say that this might be the worst public figure in the entire city right now. Right after her.